You rusty.
Yeah, man, I'm rusty, man. We took like a week off.
A week, man. Hey, no days off. 2021.
First recording of 2021, man.
And
So,
matter of fact, let me start by saying this. Amp tasked me with getting our man Raimon Roy, Jacksonville legend, Duval County.
Duval legend.
All right.
So when one of our resolutions, we said we're gonna take this podcast a little bit more serious. We're gonna
Indeed.
get a little bit more serious with the guests. So
This is our first step.
yeah, Joe been telling me, what has it been, about 10 years?
Yeah.
Joe put me onto your music a while ago. Actually, you were blowing up when I first seen you. You had, what was the name of the song?
About Naked Parade. That was the first one. Carmencita.
Yeah.
Carmen. That's the
that
one.
was my. It still is my favorite record.
That's
man.
a good record. That's a good
Fur in
record.
My Lap.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That was
Fur
the
in My
best one.
Lap
That was the best one.
crazy. Fur in My Lap, the video, man. Let me ask you about that.
Yeah. Go for it.
You worked with Creative Control on that, if I'm not mistaken, right? Or was that after Fur in My Lap?
No, but I know someone from Creative Control, or knew someone from Creative Control at kind of around that time period.
Got you.
It had no association with that particular video. Yeah.
Okay, so let me ask, what was the? How did you come up with the video? Was it you? Was it the director? You know what I mean?
Well,
combination.
One of those things is it's one of those things where that was my first video that I ever shot.
Wow.
I had no idea whatsoever about how to even make a video.
Right.
Like, I didn't know about contributing my own ideas to something. I didn't know that I could be like, yo, I want something to, the way that I do with my music,
right?
Where I go to my producer and I'm like, yeah, I want something to, like we take part of this or we take part of that and then have it sound like this. I didn't know that I could do the same thing for videos, you know what I'm saying? And it was kind of one of those things where if it was up to me, the director of that video would not have been, I'm just going to be honest, he wouldn't have been my first choice.
Got you.
You know what I'm saying?
Got you.
Like, if the me now that exists in 2020 would not have created that Fur in My Cap video. But, like back then.
Yeah.
Can I ask you why you feel that way?
I think because my taste has changed.
Okay.
Or not, you know what? Maybe not even changed. And I think, and this is something I've come to kind of understand more recently, is I think taste is something that sort of emerges. It's almost like you discover it by the process of elimination. You start realizing, okay, yeah, like I don't like this.
Yeah.
Or like, oh yeah, I'm not into this. Or like, yeah, I kind of didn't like when this happened. You know what I'm saying? And then slowly but surely, going back to like what we were talking about earlier in the car, with time, it's like time sort of acts as like this filter where the things that you aren't necessarily about, those things sort of get like
washed out.
They get washed out. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So yeah, it's maybe just more so knowing not necessarily what I like, but knowing more what I don't like.
Okay, that makes sense. That made perfect sense.
So, but you can't know that. That's part of the process,
right?
So you can't know that thing unless you got to start the process to even begin that journey. So, in that moment, that's like the only video I could have made. So you know what I'm saying? It was more like
the video was before its time though, because
around that time it was well before its time.
Yeah, for sure.
It wasn't a lot of creativity going on
in videos.
It was just pretty much you just standing in front of one place and even not the shit on the quality control thing, because that was a big movement.
It was big, yeah.
Some of the videos with quality control was kind of like.
Not everything.
I'm just bringing that up because we were just talking about. It's kind of basic.
Yeah, not
some
everything.
Of the currency, like one of the currency videos, I think it was Life Under the Scope where he was just in a museum.
I think what they did though,
it's pretty basic.
But what they highlighted was the persona of Currency. You know what I mean? Like I think that's what kind of elevated the both of them at that time. Currency had a strong following. We know this. You know what I mean? Having such a 10-year career up to that point, but we saw him in such a new light. Like at that point, Currency really welcomed us into his life, you know? And I think that was huge for Creative Control as well, because it kind of introduced them in a familiar way. Like, hey, we really know this artist, you know? We're open to seeing his videos. And Currency isn't big on quality, you know what I mean? I think that kind of speaks for itself. He'll put out a video, you know, overnight if he wants to, you know? And I don't think that takes away from him as an artist, you know, but I think that just speaking to what Quality Control did for Currency, I think it was more so building and lifting his persona than being a creative presence, more or less. So
yeah, with that video, it was more like I hit up a couple people that I knew out in LA, and I was like, hey, like who does videos?
And let me see,
And that literally was like how I even landed on that director.
Wow.
The guy's name was Ethan Later.
Okay.
And he had done a few other videos for people that were up and coming in the scene at the time. I think he did Kids in the Hall, Jay Davy, which was like this like underground sort of R&B group. He had did trying to think who else he had did a video for. Maybe You and I, maybe possibly. Okay. But it was like there was like this group. It was like MySpace era type. Right.
Like that's some big names in the blog era.
Yeah. Blog era, MySpace era type acts, right? And he did these videos for them. I think one of them even got on. One of them had even got on like TRL, one of those videos.
Wow.
That's pretty big.
But like I think it was actually I had two different people. One of them was this guy Chris Stamp, who has a clothing line that kind of got, I guess, big, Stamped.
Yeah.
So he was like, yeah, I know this guy Ethan Later. I hit up my other homie, this guy Donis, who was kind of doing his thing at the time.
Matter of fact, I've heard of you say Donis.
Yeah, the rapper.
Man, you're just dropping Donis' name.
Nah, man. I've heard of Donis.
No, I'm just saying you just casually just dropped it. I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he casually stamped. I mean,
you said stamp.
Hey, he like. You just I guess it's kind of big.
You know what this reminds me of? I saw this actually recently on Twitter. I love Twitter for this reason because there's all these dumbass like just stupid memes and shit that you'll find on Twitter.
Oh yeah.
But I saw one where it was just like parties in LA or something like that, and then the dude was like. I was like, you don't even know who that is, dude.
Yeah.
And then he's like, oh, that's Jesus. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? He's like our Lord and Savior?
Right.
But
that's funny.
But yeah, so forgive me if that happens. You know
Rob, you just casually just mentioned
just
Donis
dropping names.
At the time, he was pretty big in the, not so much now, but he was big in the blog.
Yeah.
Well, real quick, let's say this. For those who don't know who you are, at the time, all right, so after Furring My Cap, I remember Pharrell giving you high praise.
Yeah.
Kanye, I mean,
Kanye had he had a website called Kanye University, and he used it like a blog basically, and he would post architecture, models, videos from other artists,
new artists.
Pretty much whatever he wanted to post, he posted it on there. My video was on Kanye University.
So you had gotten a lot of attention early on in your career. How old were you at that point?
Like probably 30.
Wow.
Yeah. And I moved out of Jacksonville when I was 29.
So let me ask this: was that a shifting point for you, moving to LA?
Yeah, you could say that. It was kind of crazy to me that I'm a procrastinator.
You're not the only one.
Shit,
I think we all can
Guilty.
drag our feet. Yeah, I mean, hey, look, my feet got weights attached.
I admit, I'm getting better. I'm not as bad as I was really bad at one point, but I'm getting better.
I'm like what they would call a late bloomer. You know what I'm saying? Like everything that I ever did in my life, it was always, even my mom. So she said when I came out the womb, she said I took forever to even come out.
That's
to come
funny.
Out, you know
That's funny. Yeah.
So it's almost like every single thing I've
Everything
ever
you've
done
done.
in my life, I've always just waited until like the absolute 11th hour, final second, like right before the car's about to go off the cliff, and you actually need to make a turn.
Right.
That was when every
You
time.
like, yo, let me ride this edge.
every time I ever made a choice, it was always like last second. And I look back and I kind of wish I did. Everyone does this, or at least at least I feel like everyone does.
I mean, yeah, I can tell you, I have.
You look back and you think like to yourself, fuck, like I wish there were certain things that I knew and I could go back and like I could have changed this.
Amp's giving me countless advice that, you know what I mean, I wish in the moment I would have taken advantage of,
Yep. But you know what? It's actually, I'm glad that everything has. Lately I've taken the stance of that's really just the only way it's gone down. You know what I'm saying? And like I'm glad that it has gone the way that it has gone, because there are a lot of things that have happened, especially recently, that would have never happened had I
rushed it or even I know exactly what you mean.
So big moment though for sure. Leaving because I had only known Jacksonville. I grew up here. This was my I'd never lived anywhere else outside of Jacksonville.
So prior to furring my cap, if I'm correct, you were a substitute teacher, right?
Yeah, I did do. Yeah. I did a little substitute teaching. Yeah, I did. Kelly Services.
That's what's up. Hey, yo, I'm not gonna lie. If you ever come to Jackson, you need a job. Kelly Services will hook you up.
That's like something only Jacksonville people would get. Like, you said Kelly Services, and it was like, that's like saying Converges.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like,
it's a universal thing,
you know what I'm saying? Like,
here in Jack's, like, yo, it's a few places that everyone's been at. So.
My mom used to work at Kelly Services. She quit because it was stressful.
Shit, my pops got a banging ass job. He had got out of the Navy for like 2 years. He was doing like the reserves and then went back in. He got a job through Kelly Services doing like what he was doing in the Navy.
Oh, that's
so I was like, yo, Kelly Services.
Kelly Services, man. They will hook you up.
Shit, we advertising. Y'all holla at us.
I know, right?
But that's what's up,
I
man.
might need to hit them up in a few months, actually. Letting this unemployment ride out real quick.
I heard that. Hey, look, collect. You know what I'm saying? So, still releasing music. Your latest latest release was what? February, right? February of 2020?
Yeah. A song called Bass.
Gotcha.
That was the name of the song.
Yeah. I fuck with bass.
Yeah.
What do you have coming out next?
I got a song called New Jack City. And that's what we were just talking about when I saw that poster back there.
Yeah.
A little kind of like a little play on Jacksonville, you know what I'm saying? Like but done in my own particular way.
That's what always stood out to me. That's what made Bowden Acre Parade so special to me. I was blown away that someone had created a song about a street in Jacksonville in such a way. Yeah. And I mean, like when I heard it, I was like, yo, I gotta find out everything I can about this dude.
Yeah. Well, it's like one of those things where like the place that a person grows up, it impacts you in so many different ways, both negatively and positively. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And especially home, like the idea of home, the neighborhood that you grew up in. All these memories are wrapped up in that. Yeah. From like the girl that used to come over and you fucked in your room.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like when your parents were in the kitchen. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or like where you cried with your mom at the kitchen table type of shit. You know what I'm saying? Or where your dad like you and your dad like got in a shouting match with each other. You know what I'm saying? Or like, or you fell on your bike here. Or,
Right,
You know what I'm saying?
You
There are all
got your
these,
first
like,
fight. Yeah,
yeah,
there's all
all
kinds
those
of
memories.
things. Yeah,
You know what
yeah.
I'm saying? Like that, and that's a complicated thing to sort of. It all kind of like swirls
Compose,
up. Yeah,
yeah.
it swirls up together in your head, and then that song in particular was just. It was one of those. It was an attempt. It was an attempt to, I guess, come to terms with some of those, I guess, things that I never really worked out, and like you need to get it out somehow.
Right,
You know what I'm saying? I don't really do the therapy thing.
Yeah.
That's not my thing. I think maybe that's the younger generation's thing. I don't necessarily believe in it. For me, therapy has always been me setting a goal and shooting toward that goal and striving toward that, or I've gotten it out in my songs.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I tell people the process is often therapeutic.
Yeah.
Like whatever you're doing, the process of it, you have to love it.
Yeah.
Because you can work so much out in yourself, in your own mind. Talking about procrastination, going back to that, that was a big thing for me. I know early on in my career, I get beats all the time and I just sit on them. I'd have them stashed and stored because I'd be saying, I know that what I want to write about, I haven't been through enough yet, and I put it off to the side, not hold it until, like you say, the 11th hour, they're talking, all right, look, I got to give this to someone else. I got to do something with this beat.
They're about to sell the beat to somebody else.
Right. I'm like, hold up. Let me see what I've been through. I think I could churn something out to this. But, right now I'm making rugs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
which are looking dope, by the way.
I appreciate that, man.
I had no idea you were even doing that shit.
Man, look, I was on Twitter one day. I'm gonna go ahead and give her a shout out. No Face Nia. She was doing at No Face Nia, so y'all check her out. She was doing a Pharrell rug.
Okay, nice.
And it looked amazing. It's like $250, right? So I was like,
Wow.
damn, that's not bad. That's not a bad rug. Like, it's a great size and everything.
Yeah.
But I ain't want to spend $250. Like, it's a pandemic. I got a lot of priorities going on. You know.
For sure.
So I was just interested. Let me see what the process is like. I'm one of those kind of people. You can't tell me anything. Like, literally, if you say, "Yo, I'm thinking about putting a patch on the jacket," I'm gonna say, "Well, shit, let's make the jacket."
Yeah.
So I started Googling. I found the rug gun. It was like $300. You know what I mean? So this for game for everybody. $300 for the rug gun. I started looking at the cost of materials and whatnot, and then weighing the options of or the profit margin. You know what I mean? Of course. So all in all, I've been doing it now. In the process, about 3 months. My gun I've been using now for a month. So I started out doing it all by hand, which took a long fucking time. I'm thankful to be using my gun now. And then I was waiting on materials because of everything. So now that I'm getting through the process, it was frustrating. There's a lot of things that I was banging my head about. I've already invested $1,000 at least, you know what I mean, into this process, and I've spent a lot of time. So to sit around with it every day, it's like, But I tell you, man, when I'm doing it, is my time to work on, hey, this is my discipline, you know what I mean? This is me disciplining myself. This is me saying I'm not gonna put things off, you know what I mean? So I do
talk about therapeutic. There has to be something that is helpful. You know
exactly.
What
So I mean, whatever it is that you're doing, whatever it is that you want to do, you gotta love the process and of doing that. Find ways to cope with yourself when doing that. Musically, that was a challenge for me. Striving for like you say, you want this song to be, I think we spoke about this off air, but you expect for when you release this song, it to be something so monumental.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, at least early on,
right, early on. Yeah.
You have maybe these like
naive thoughts.
Yeah, exactly.
Naive. Yeah. I mean, they're ignorant in the sense you have no knowledge of, But you think about it and it's like, when it doesn't happen, that can kind of set you back mentally. A lot of people struggle with that challenge. I did. I think even with new ventures, at any point, you can struggle with that thought of, damn, is this really it? Should I continue or do I strive? And that's your moment of, hey, I really got to give myself therapy. I got to coach myself through this and find the therapeutic moments and points of this process.
Well, and you know what? I'm glad you ended that sentence on the word process, because really, at the end of it all, the goal isn't really the goal. It's the process is the goal. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
like
indeed.
when you actually get to the point that you think that you were aiming for, you realize that that wasn't even the point. The point was all that shit that you were doing to begin with.
Yep. It's not as fun having reached the end goal.
Yeah, exactly.
As it is chasing it, you know what I mean? Like,
I agree with that.
and I think that, like, even to bring it down to like layman's terms, think about jogging in a group. You know, if we were all to run a mile, let's just say.
Yeah.
At the end of it, it's like, all right, we did it. What's next or whatever? You know what I mean? Your mind shifts. Your thought process shifts. But while you're doing it, I mean, one, you're motivating each other. You're laughing, joking, making little thoughts in your head to kind of keep motivated. Left, right. You know what I mean? So like you say, you do realize at the end or at some point that, hey, everything I've done is what
Exactly.
I should have, or I should be enjoying more.
It's because it is in that process there's a transformation that's occurring of yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like you transform as a result of the process that you immerse yourself in.
So bringing it back to music, one thing that I see throughout your career, like a lot of the same instruments, and it has kind of evolved in the later years.
It's starting to change in the later years.
Yeah.
But so, in the beginning,
and we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
So the saxophone. Have you ever played any instruments?
Never. No.
I
think I can play like. I think I could play the bass line of a Nirvana song because it was like the one thing that my friend, shout out to my friend Selah, who I used to be in a band back in the day.
Word.
I didn't play any instruments, but vocals.
Yeah.
Vocals. It was an all Asian hip hop band. It was here in Jacksonville.
Forgive me.
No. It's just.
I wasn't Asian.
No. It was one of those things where it was like, this was when I was in college, right? And it was kind of like, because this was the era of, you had first, Rage Against the Machine, and you had, then you ended up having like Limp Bizkit.
Yeah.
Papa Roach, Linkin Park, all
right.
You know what I'm saying? And then like within like the sort of like rap rock sort of thing. But then on the other side, you also had like the Roots, and then you had a lot of bands on like the underground
that were still using
independent scene that were like coming through, where it was like a lot of live. It was like a lot of live hip hop acts at the time.
Yep.
So we're talking about like between like 1999 and like 2002.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That was like a thing. But yeah, like I don't want to go on that tangent. That's a tangent. But to answer the question, my friend Selah, who played guitar in that band, I think he showed me how to play this like. It's like dun 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 dun. So I could do that.
Yeah.
Not very good, but I could do that.
I mean,
the one thing I ever learned.
I could play chopsticks, and Mary had a little. I could play the hell out of Mary Had a Little Lamb. Don't get me started. I mean, I can play a few songs on the keys. I could never read music. I used to play piano, but I lost it. You know what I mean? I ain't riding a bike.
I have no musical like knowledge at all. Like nothing like formal. Like no formal music knowledge at all.
So the instruments just stood out to you always.
As far as like, you mean like specific instruments?
Instruments.
Gotcha.
So like like early on, I heard a lot of horns, like horns.
You had on that one song, like the self-titled joint. Yeah, there was some horns on there. There was like a lot of guitars. There was some live instrumentation on like some of those early records.
Right.
And then the first record. So, are you familiar with Willie Evans Jr.? Like he's like local. Jacksonville.
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
He actually, so before King Warrior Magician Lover, which had Fur in My Cap, Carmen Cita, like those joints were technically, that was like my second solo record.
Gotcha.
My first solo record was Willie Evans Jr. produced those beats, and then I wrote to those beats, and then me and the producer I ended up working with, even till this day, we co-produced. Like, so we added things or we took things from.
Yeah.
So basically, we had Willie Evans would send me like the beat bed, and then we would kind of like, that was like my first experience, and I could kind of like modify something.
Yeah,
like,
that's pretty cool.
I have like ideas about something. Okay, cool. Like let's. So maybe we'd add keys to like something, or we'd add this, or maybe we would take something out, and then eventually it got to the point with King Warrior Magician Lover,
right,
where I kind of went back to like, because when I was in the band that I was in, I was very much I was very much involved in the creative process, in terms of like, like this would be cool if we did this. So I kind of, it was interesting to be able to do that, but times 20,
right,
with my producer, because I had like insane ideas I had never been able to like put out there or execute, and I had this guy, or still have, this partner in crime who's an absolute genius. His name is Luke Walker, and he was able to bring to life almost everything I could ever think of, anything I could throw at him, and he'd be like, "Okay, cool, I could do that." So,
that's what's up.
Yeah.
That's what's up. So now in your later years, I'm hearing the more, it sounds like you've kind of went back to your earlier inspirations with the band sound, more.
It's more aggressive.
Yeah.
It's definitely more aggressive.
Upbeat.
For sure. Yeah. It's more aggressive. It's more upbeat.
Talk about the switch, the transition in that.
You know what? I think I think it's one of those things where kind of like goes back to what we were talking about in terms of like knowing not necessarily knowing what it is that you like, but more what you don't like.
I hear that.
You know what I'm saying? So, okay, cool. So I'm kind of over this, or like I don't like this anymore. Or
right.
Like, I'm kind of done with this, or this type of sound, or this tempo, or whatever. And now it's almost as if, a form emerges from that, and it's hard to describe, but you know it when you see it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? You know it when you feel it. You know what I'm saying? And
right.
I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like I know what the fuck I'm doing, because I don't. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I used to I think try to pretend like I knew what I was doing, but I don't. Like I really, it's like you're just trusting your instinct. Even when I write, like I don't even know why I pick the words that I write.
I know.
You know what I'm saying? It's just like it's like ideas that just come to you, words that come to you, the reason why you want to use this certain sound, or like you want to go with this kind of thing, or maybe like you end up sampling this or going in this direction. None of that shit's planned almost. It's like you just kind of fall down like a rabbit hole, and you're like, like with bass, for instance, right? So, like that, this was actually in the Fader article that they posted when they put the song out.
Mm-hmm.
I literally had fell down this rabbit hole of like my brain for some reason was going down this this trip down memory lane, right? And I was thinking back to when I was in high school, and I was like, it's like 94, and I was like a freshman in high school. Freshman, sophomore, I don't think, 93, 94, I think was a freshman. But there was a senior at my high school, Stanton, I went to Stanton. And this kid, he had a bunch of these like white label records from the UK. And it was all like this crazy, it's what they call, the genre is what they call happy hardcore, which to most people listening, they would call it like drum and bass or like jungle or whatever.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
But the difference is, well, happy hardcore is there's a lot of like sped up vocal samples.
Gotcha.
Like sped up vocal samples, a lot of like piano, like kind of like a melancholic, emotional kind of sounding piano. It's like kind of both like uplifting and sad kind of at the same time. So it's like these pianos, sped up vocal samples, and like the beats are just like insane. Like the BPM on bass is like 168 BPM.
Yeah.
And I remember he played me these records when I was a freshman. I thought this guy was like the coolest dude ever. You know what I'm saying? Because like, you know, you're a freshman. You're like,
right.
You know, you think like the older kids are always like
always know, and
they know what's cool.
Yeah.
You're trying to be cool. You know.
Right.
And yeah, he played me these records. I was like, yo, I've never heard anything like this before. And to me, it was like the most futuristic shit that I'd ever heard. I'd never heard anything, even to this day, like I still don't hear music that's as futuristic sounding as that. And for some reason, that memory had always like played itself in my mind periodically. And at some points you have memories that come to you stronger, like for some reason at some points of your life. And for some reason you'll kind of start thinking about something more strongly at a particular time. And you don't know why all of a sudden you have this nostalgia for this one certain memory. And for some reason, this memory in particular chose to jump itself out at you,
right?
Like in this moment, so very strongly to where now you have to go, and now you're online and you're diving down the rabbit hole. Like I was sitting there Googling pirate radio, like UK pirate radio, you know, drum and bass jungle, like all this like shit on like YouTube.
Yeah.
Stuff on like, I found like this blog that had all these like pirate radio mixes, you know what I'm saying? So, and this was, you know, where it's like all illegal broadcasting, you know what I mean? And like, so I started looking up all this like stuff about what was going on at that time period, and was like finding like all these like tracks that like literally were the type of tracks that he played for me, like in 94.
Right.
And then around the same time, and this is funny, I think when I was in, I think it was around the same time, 92.7 was a relatively
That's
new.
throwback. 92.7.
Yeah, 92.7.
It hasn't been 92.7 in a while.
Yeah. 92.7 was a relatively new. It was like our first hip hop and R&B radio station here in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
And
How long? What year was that?
like, well, I remember. I want to say like the first time I remember hearing it was like 93.
93?
Like
Okay.
93, 94 maybe. But it
it's just, for some reason I just like always could remember it.
Yeah.
I never could. I don't know.
Right. I mean, I moved in 2000 and it was 92.7. So.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because before that, all we had was WAPE 95.1.
Yeah.
The APE or whatever, you know what I'm saying? And then they used to have a top 10 where they would actually play, funny enough, on their top 10, they actually would play
hip hop records.
Yeah, some different. It was like a mixed genre, but like it was.
I remember the ape.
Yeah, the ape was.
Yeah. I mean, the ape is always gonna be like a big station hit.
Yeah, I mean it always has been.
Yeah.
It always has been. But 92.7.
Right.
That was big. Like,
it was huge.
That was big. That was like
when I came, 92.7. I mean, you wanted to enter their raffles.
Yep.
You wanted to do like everything 92.7 was a part of. My mom used to try and drag us out to like little events. Like they opened up a a fucking shoe store.
Because of 2.7?
No, they were selling fake shoes, and 92.7 was
Oh, damn.
advertising.
You might have seen me there, nigga.
Nigga,
You remember that one store where they
the
selling
$29.99?
Yes.
Bruh. 92.7 had it all over the radio. Come on out, the Beach Boulevard. $29.99.
Jeans.
Wow.
They had jeans.
They had jerseys. They had.
Bro, are you going there? Are you?
It was a store full of like.
Bro, they ain't
just
had the display. They just
fold
had,
out tables.
They just had a shoe.
and
It was a
fake
shoe in a
shoes.
box, and
Yep.
everybody was just destroying everything.
Wow. Oh my god.
We had went up in there. My father said, "You ain't find those shoes." I'm like, "Hell no,
no,
I ain't
these
find those."
fake.
He like, leave. Like, nah. All they had was like
My
the,
mom was like, for $29.99, they some good shoes. I
You
said,
remember
nah,
the-
not
you-
for me.
Nah,
Yeah,
the
right.
only jeans they had up in there, you remember the fake platinum FUBU shiny
Oh,
jeans?
Lord.
Yeah.
That's all they had in there. I was like, hell no.
And this was, you know what I mean? This was the time when I never forget. I told my brother is 5 years older than me.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So I'm from Pensacola, and back then, 99.
Don't say that no more here, man.
Hey, shut up.
All right, man. Don't
Don't-
mention,
don't-
don't
shut
mention
up. Shut up.
Pensacola here no more, man.
I'm from Pensacola, Florida.
All right, man. Go ahead. Finish
So-
the story.
Long story short, my homie he told me a story of how they used to call out people wearing fake shoes.
Oh yeah, all the time.
So I told
Fake
my
everything. They call
homeboy,
you
right?
out. Yeah.
This was the gig. I'm like, yo, and God rest his soul, Chris. I'm still mad at you about this one. I was a freshman. I'm going into my sophomore year.
Gotcha.
He's a senior. I'm telling him, I'm like, yo, look, first week, anybody wear fake Jordans, I'm gonna get a referee shirt. I'm gonna come in fully, refereed out, right?
Like Foot Locker.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna throw a flag on the play when I see him in the fake shoes.
Yeah.
So I was scrolling to work. I was scrolling to school. I told him two things. I was gonna get a part that year, and I was gonna do that. First day, Chris had a part, and the school goes crazy. School goes crazy. The second week of school, everybody had a part, and they were like, "Yeah, Chris started it." I was like, What's going on here? But he was a senior, you know what I'm saying? Big dog.
Yeah.
So I come into school one day and Chris.
You made it a hot line. He made it a hot song.
Yeah. For real. And I ain't understand that then. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I come into school one day, I'm walking down the hallway, and there's this big group of people. Chris is throwing flags everywhere.
No. For real?
And they're going crazy. Flag on the play. What are these? Son, we got a
Hey,
fake pair.
you should have had your bread up. You should have
Bruh.
kept it to yourself.
Yeah, man, I definitely should have. I was a young nigga. You know what I'm saying? So I walk in, I saw what was going on. I threw my hands up and just turned around and walked out. You know what I mean?
Wow.
But yeah, man, I wasn't wearing no fake forces, I told a story on here one time. I ain't gonna tell it no more after this, but my mom, she brought home, I told her, I was going into my 7th grade year.
Okay.
I say, Ma, I want some forces for for school. She bought me some FUBUs, shoes.
Okay.
Yeah. They were crocheted and like woven.
That's nasty.
Like they was bad, bro.
That's nasty.
But I wore the fuck out of them, man. It ain't what you wear, it's how you wear it.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
and you know what? Now they would probably be considered.
Oh, nah.
No, not even.
nah.
Okay. They look like okay.
Yeah. They look like fake Air Force Ones. Like they had the structuring of Air Force Ones. I'm surprised they didn't get sued.
Yeah.
Except where the check would swoosh through, so the sides and the toe cap.
At no point, FUBU shoes was hot.
None.
Wow.
So
By the time they stepped in
had
the footwear, it was over.
interwoven leather, like leather,
Wow. Okay.
thick leather. And look, I had like probably 2 or 3 pair of shoes for school my 7th grade year. You know what I mean? When I was in 9th grade, I was a hustler, brother. I was buying myself Air Force Ones and whatnot. My brother, we sat down to eat at dinner. My brother said, he's selling drugs. I was like, what is going on? I ain't selling no drugs.
You sure you wasn't?
Not at that point.
All right.
I'm joking.
Well, to circle back just to the 92.7 thing,
Yeah.
though, really quick. And I'll put a cap on that.
Oh yeah, forgive us, man.
no,
Random
all
Magic
good.
Podcast.
Yeah.
We get.
Well, no, because I just want to make sure you have the complete
Right.
answer for that. 92.7 on Sunday nights. Bigger Rankin used to broadcast
Oh yeah.
from Club Carousel.
Yeah.
And the reason I even brought up the radio station being new at the time was because, and I don't know if it was just where I lived or not, I lived over by Southside Middle School.
Gotcha.
But for some reason, I had to hold the radio antenna just to pick up the signal. Like if I wasn't holding it, the right way, I couldn't get the signal.
Yeah.
And I don't know if
yeah.
I don't know if it was because they were new or like what the deal was. But so
I
I
used to have to lay mine against the
yeah,
wall.
you know what I'm saying? So
Man, I think everybody had to go through something crazy at some point and you did to listen
I got
to
lucky
92.7.
because I don't know if y'all know, but 92.7 used to be right down here.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
No.
It's by where Sam's Club at right here.
Okay, yeah.
92.7 was like right next door to it. So I got lucky. So once they moved right there, I ain't have to do nothing crazy.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So I would tape this because he would DJ live from Club Carousel. It was Cool Runnings.
I remember Cool Runnings.
So they would DJ live from Cool Runnings, and they would broadcast this. Now, this is how crazy this was. This would not happen now, right?
Not at all. Yeah.
They would broadcast Cool Runnings live on Sunday nights. And then you would hear like
Yeah, I remember that.
you would hear like the fucking him dropping the bombs and all that shit and like the
even when I came in 2000, yep.
and I would all that shit.
Yep,
All that shit.
yep.
And I would record off the radio. I would record that because like that was another thing I had never heard before.
Right.
Like all the dance hall shit that he was playing at the time.
Yeah.
And that shit blew my mind equally as much as this other shit that I had heard from like these UK records, right?
Mm-hmm.
So on bass, right? This just goes to show like I don't, like I said, like a lot of times I don't know what I'm doing. So for some reason it's like you start going down memory lane and then you're clicking on one thing to another online. And then I found this recording of Bigger Rankin from like 94, 95 live. It was one of these recordings. It was like a Christmas Eve recording. And it's him. It's like a whole, like maybe like a 15-minute recording of him just like dropping bombs, lasers, like cutting the music out, doing the shout outs, all that shit. So when it came time to do this track based, like it was like all these things just like merged in my head.
Right.
And it wasn't even a question of, it wasn't like, oh yeah, I wasn't like trying to be a scientist.
Right.
And like, it was just more like in my head, all these things made sense. Because they all came from like the same time period to me.
Right.
And I was like, well, what if I made this track that was like these, like, upbeat, 168 BPM, happy hardcore records, but it sounds like Bigger Rankin is dropping this shit at Club Carousel. You know what I'm saying? And I sampled Bigger Rankin.
Right,
like, you hear the track,
yeah.
You hear him like, and it was just we caught like the clean parts where there was no music playing. And then we was just like the part where he's like Jacksonville, like all that shit. So like, we sampled that shit, and then I sampled the shit from the pirate radio like mixes that I was like listening to, and then it just all came together.
Bass is a beautiful like collage of sounds.
I never heard this song. I gotta hear this ASAP.
Yeah. How did it go to get the another legend's blessing to? Did you have to do anything to drop his vocals on there?
Yeah, I was just about to ask.
Nah, I didn't even ask.
I
I didn't even ask. But I do have a Bigger Rankin story though.
Word.
I do have a Bigger Rankin story.
Yeah.
Story time. That's somebody we need on this podcast this year.
Indeed.
That's a goal. We're gonna get Bigger Rankins on here.
Yep.
2006.
Okay.
I don't know if they still do these or not, but he used to have this event called the Duval Diamond Hood Awards.
They do.
AKA the Ghetto Grammys.
Yep.
And
They still do that?
Yeah.
I won a Ghetto Grammy.
Word.
In 2006.
That's what's up.
That's what's up. It's called Next to Blow. It's still at my parents' house.
Yeah.
And this is how crazy the story is. B.O.B., before he got into like the corny fucking like Bruno Mars pop, like all that bullshit, he had a song in the underground called Cloud 9 was the name of the joint. And he performed Cloud 9 right before I got up on stage to accept my award for Next to Blow.
Word.
And this was like a huge thing. That like the person,
the Diamond Awards were big.
It was huge.
Yeah.
It was huge, and it was like
big.
Rick Ross was in. It was in the audience. He was accepting some kind of like living legend award or like some kind of a achievement type of thing or whatever.
Yeah, at first they used to literally do that shit out in Pickyville.
Really?
Pickyville, like just like outside,
like
hand out awards.
This shit was like super like legendary. I'm talking like the people that were at this shit.
Yeah. Were
like, I mean, all the heavy hitters in the South. Were at this thing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, so
I didn't know they still did it. That's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, that's
news to me. Think I know I've heard of someone saying they got a Diamond Award within the last 2 or 3 years.
Shit, I got to win one now.
I haven't been there, you know what I mean? But
calling it now, I'm gonna win one. I don't know what I'm gonna do to get it. I'm gonna win one.
Well, shit, let me go ahead and achieve that with you, my brother. Shit.
So
you can be the Diamond brother.
So in a way, I guess I do have.
You dog.
Green ass nigga.
I was gonna let you pay.
The Diamond brother.
Green ass nigga.
Speaking of trick, that I was gonna let you pay.
I was trying to give us a ring. You know what I'm saying? Like they got the Black Bottle Boys and shit. Like what could I? What can I say?
Diamond Boys. I want to be a part of that.
Yeah.
That sounds nasty.
So yeah, in a long about way, like maybe I got his blessing. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, cause I got the award in 2006. Yeah. But yeah, I just look at it in terms of sampling. This actually brings up a good topic. I just take shit, man.
Yeah, man.
I just take shit. Like I don't.
Hey, if you mad, come see Bobby.
Yeah, I mean, because to me, art. This is the way I look at art. Like, art is just taking. Art is taking other people's shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, like I personally don't believe in. I don't believe in copyright laws in the sense that that a lot of other people do.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I think this. I appreciate why
I get
laws
why
came into play, but to think that a copyright law wasn't created until 1972, if I'm not mistaken.
Shit, I don't even know.
Yeah, man. It didn't even. There was no copyright law for music until 1972, if I'm not mistaken. That's crazy to think to me.
To me, it holds up the artistic process.
Yes,
you know
it does.
Because
it entirely.
It's like, imagine how many records that we haven't heard, great records, that we have been deprived of hearing, because somebody was like, nah, you can't sample this. Or because they want to charge this exorbitant amount.
Yes.
You know, to even sample this. You know what I'm
absolutely
saying?
Right. I think that's a great point. See, the only reason I'm thankful for the copyright laws, I think it was important to have that because of the cultural difference.
Yes, I get. You know, like you want to compensate. You know, someone. I understand that. I understand.
But I mean, the way music has evolved, I think the law should have and should evolve to this day. You know what I mean? I think that once it's made public, it should be able to have music or works derived from.
Yeah.
Because to think, you know, I can't take a line. You know, a line from your song.
You know, I don't like. I say to people like, take whatever you want from anything I've made. I don't care because it's about the advancement of the art. So in my opinion,
right?
Like if you could take anything that I did and make that better, or you can like transform it and make it your own, or like make something insane out of it, like by all means, I want to see that happen.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Let me ask you a question. What if somebody like sampled one of your old songs and then it blew up, win a Grammy, whatnot? They don't even mention you.
I mean,
Would you be tight?
not really. I mean, if it'd be great to. I mean, I guess you know what I think it's because I just don't even view because I don't even view wanting like I don't necessarily want recognition in the way a lot of people do. You know what I'm saying? Like I know the point of a lot of people being a rapper or a singer or artist or whatever is because they want the recognition or the fame.
Right.
And this might make me an odd person out for being like this. And I don't think maybe I was always like this, but I don't care. I think, you know what I'm saying? Like, because to me, success is not, that's like not, to me, that type of success has no, is no reflection of the quality of something.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like it has everything to do with luck and everything to do with politics and everything to do with everything that's not the making of the art. You know what I'm saying? So for me, because I have been in situations where I've been in situations where I have a funny story. It sounds like a lie because it's so outrageous. But for instance, Donald Glover. I don't even know if I should tell the story.
It's on you.
Let's just say Donald Glover. So Carmencita, right?
Right.
He hit me up. This was, I guess, 2010 when the video came out. He had a Tumblr. He was like, I am Donald.tumblr.com.
Right.
He had put my video on his Tumblr and contacted my management. He wanted to talk to me. And I met up with him. I talked to him for probably about an hour and some change. We had lunch. And he asked me about Carmencita. He was like, yo, I love this track. You know, like what inspired the video and the song and whatnot.
Video's crazy.
Props to Lance Drake. Lance Drake is the director for that. Lance Drake actually just directed something for, there's a band called Muse.
Okay.
He directed a film that screened in IMAX this year.
Word.
But he was the director of the video.
Out.
Yeah. So I said I can't take credit for it because Lance was the guy behind the video. But I could take credit for the track. Like I could tell you the influences from the track for the track.
Yeah.
I told him to look up. I was like, well, first off, like, I said look up Bootsy Collins' Space Bass solo on YouTube, and it's like this extended, maybe like 10. It's almost like a 10-minute long bass guitar solo, and it's at the end of I'd Rather Be With You, Bootsy Collins, and he's just playing the bass guitar like he would play like a guitar, like Jimi Hendrix, you know what I'm saying? And I told him, look up Space Bass Solo by Bootsy Collins. Listen to if you haven't yet, look up Stankonia by Outkast. And then I was like, look up all Parliament.
I would hope he had heard of that. If he being from Stone Mountain, Georgia, if you put him on that, that's pretty sad.
I said, listen to. I don't know if he was familiar with Stankonia or not. He should have been.
Right.
But the other stuff, like I was telling him about, like all the funk stuff, he had no idea about.
I can believe that. I can believe
like,
that.
I kid you not. Like, this is
that.
a real.
That's wild.
This is a real.
Man, prior to Atlanta, the show, Donald Glover was nothing like. I mean, even his music didn't have funk or soul or that.
Yeah,
that,
if you listen
that
to all those
feeling.
records, it didn't. There's not that presence was not on any of his tracks.
And then that what's the last one he did? Mother Awaken or something like that.
Awaken my love. Yeah,
Awaken my love. Yeah.
So this is kind of where I'm going with that. I don't care that I necessarily was the one who. I'm gonna say right now. I put at least I think that I put him onto these records because when I told him about, I was like, look up Maggot Brain.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, look, I gave him like certain things to look up. He didn't seem like he knew what I was talking about.
Right. Right.
And then and fast forward, I saw him I think like 2013, stumbling out of he had a birthday party at the AT&T building in downtown Los Angeles. He saw me. He mentioned Carmencita again. Like he was still talking about that song. Yeah. I think I saw him one more time as I was working at Ace Hotel. Is when the hotel had opened up from 2014. In 2014, we had a Coldplay concert. We had a theater, I don't work for them anymore. We had a theater at Ace. We had all these big events there, but we had Coldplay performing in the theater. And I saw him at this Coldplay concert, and that was the last time I ever talked to him.
Yeah.
But yeah, so fast forward to 2016. Or was it 2016? It was somewhere in that era, I want to say. 2016, 2017, whenever Awaken My Love came out, you fast forward to that. And then his single, Redbone, is an interpolation of not Carmencita, but I'd rather be with you.
Yeah. I can see that.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And then the whole record is a funk record. You know what I'm saying? Based on all these different like these influences, these records.
That's interesting.
So
That's crazy.
so again, like I
That's
don't.
a crazy story.
I don't know if I can necessarily take credit for it, but I'm just gonna say in that conversation, he did not seem like he was familiar with any of those acts for one, or even like the songs.
By chance, he was playing dumb, or I don't know.
I mean, who knows? Like I don't know, but by any measure, let's just say that's not even the first time that something like that
has happened.
You know what I'm saying? And hey, man, if like that's the way it goes down, that's the way it goes down. Because to me, it's like one person, however someone wants to take the idea and run with it, they're going to do something completely different than what I would do with it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And more power to them. Congratulations. Like if they take it to great success, amazing.
Yeah.
Because for me, I'm cool with just like, as long as I got a roof over my head and I'm not worried about food and I can still make my art, that's good enough for me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because I know how dope I am.
Right.
I know what I'm doing. And I don't necessarily need the validation from an external source to tell me that like I'm dope. Like I know that I am.
Yeah.
And I know that other people know. You know what I'm saying? And the ones that don't think so, then they don't see the world the same way that I see it. And okay. You know what I mean? Anyways, that's a long.
So I got a question. So we kind of skimmed over it. What made you want to move to LA? Because I know like me and Joe talk about it. That's one of my dreams to get the hell up out of here. Go to LA. So like, how was LA, and like, what made you? It had to be a certain situation in your life where you was like, hey man, the music ain't gonna pop but so much in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Let me go out to LA.
Yeah.
So
that was the way I thought, I think at the time. Because at the time I was wanting a form of success that looked more like what we were just talking about. Like the recognition. I wanted people to I wanted a sense of validation. You know what I'm saying? Like I wanted the world to know like, like I'm dope. You know what I mean? And I felt like that wasn't going to happen here because like I felt like it could only go so far.
There aren't enough outlets.
And you know what? And I guess at the time the internet wasn't like the way it was now, or And if I guess that's where my priorities were at the time, then that wasn't such a that wasn't such a bad decision to make. Like it made sense to me at the time to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt like at the time I felt like I had something unique and special that everyone, more people, not everyone, but more people than where I could get it to. Like I needed to get it out to that.
I mean, shit, it worked. Yeah.
To that level of an audience.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I guess it did to an extent. But it's like we were just talking about earlier with the process, right? You realize that's not even the point. Like you get to a certain thing and then you're like, oh, that's it. Got it. Okay. Cool.
Definitely understand that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's not to say that people shouldn't, because if that's still like speaking to you, that might be something that has to be addressed.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because would not be able to say, I would not have the mentality that I have now if I hadn't addressed that specific desire to do that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I'm a big believer in you got to follow your gut instinct. Follow your listen to the emotions. People like to numb themselves and not listen to what their emotions are telling them or listen to what their gut instinct is telling them. I think you need to follow those things. That's like your body's natural alarm system going off. It's telling you this is something you have to do. And we don't know why. Life is a mystery. I don't fucking know why I get some of the feelings that I do. But it's something that's telling me I need to act on it. And I'll act on it, and then I'm going to get another alarm bell go off, and then it's going to tell me to act on that. And it's all unraveling and emerging before my eyes. You know what I mean? So anyways, I guess that was...
You answered it. So when you got out there, like, how was it? Did you fuck with it? Did you?
I loved it at first.
Loved it.
At first, I did. I loved it at first.
No more parties in LA, huh?
I loved it at first, and I loved it because it was so new to me, and it was something I had only experienced in like tiny in small doses, basically. Like I'd gone down to Miami during like winter music conference and just down there for like little events or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So I had experienced it, or even like taking trips up to New York. I've gone, I played a show in Brooklyn once, and I had experienced some of that, like the parties and stuff. Like I experienced some of that in, like I said, in these small doses, and then finally being like in the thick of it and experiencing that for the first time. That to me was, like I loved it at first, and that changed.
Yeah, it just wore off.
That changed. That changed, and I think your beliefs change over time. The person that you are, or again, I hate saying change. Like I want to say like it's more like it's more like the only word I can really think of to use is it emerges. So you start like figuring out like, oh, you know what, I'm not really about that. I thought that was something I was into. But yeah, so like 12 years later, I have a completely different feeling about what LA is and what it represents. And I still have love for certain people that are there, and there are people that I fuck with that are still, plenty. Actually, a lot of people that are there that I still fuck with. But overall, as far as like the industry is concerned, and like and what a lot of like the culture like represents, and like just like the mentality and a certain obsession with different things. It's just not for me.
Right.
And ultimately is why I moved back. I mean, obviously COVID accelerated that decision-making process for me, but it was something that was already in the works, me coming back here.
Did you always have plans to come back home?
It wasn't clear to me. Like I always said in the back of my mind, like, yeah, I'll eventually come back. My mom would always get on the phone with me. I'd call my mom every week.
Right.
On Sundays. And then we would talk, and then she'd be like, all right, so when you coming back home? And then, like that's how moms are.
Yeah.
And then I'd be like, I don't know yet. I don't know. It's not time yet.
Yeah.
It's not time yet. She's like, well, when you going to know? When you going to know it's the time to come back? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know when I'm going to know it's the right time to come back.
Right.
Yeah, I never knew really. Like it was just kind of like a hazy picture in my mind. And then like what started as like this kind of like whisper in the back of my head, back of my thoughts, eventually grew louder and louder and louder and louder to the point. And each time I started taking, I was taking trips back home. I come back here, and I'd go out when I would come back. You maybe do a show, on one of my trips back, just hang out with some people I knew before, moving. I hang out with those people, go out with my family, different places. And then eventually, like the things that I had overlooked before and took for granted before, and even like some of the new things, there's a lot of new things here that I think are awesome, like here in Jacksonville that are kind of popping off. And it was just all these things started to like kind of speak to me more loudly each time. And I was like, you know what? I think it is time to come back.
Right.
So.
I hear that.
Yeah.
What exact differences did you see in Jacksonville from when you lived there? What was it? How long were you in LA? Like
12. I was in LA for 12 years.
It's a long ass time.
Yeah. I moved in 2008.
2008.
Yep.
All right. So what exactly did you see different in Jacksonville? Because I may be missing something.
Yeah.
The city is building a little bit, but I might be missing something.
Yeah. Well, I think there's a younger generation that's starting to come up now that I think they don't have the same hangups as maybe like
what we had.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like they have a different outlook on maybe the world in general, because these are people that grew up not even knowing that the internet like is like a new thing. Like they grew up always just like having the internet.
Access, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
They didn't have to sneak and get on or ask permission to say, like that's crazy to think about.
Yeah, it's just like the constant access that people have to it. We have it all on our phones now, right? Mm-hmm. There's like I think a different mentality in like the younger generation that I see that's kind of refreshing to me. It's like we're just gonna do this like ourselves.
Yeah,
we don't care. Like we're gonna do it. Yeah, we're gonna do it here. Like we're gonna make it pop here. Like we're gonna make it happen here. People that I knew that were my age like had opened up like bars and venues and stuff. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was really cool. Even like something like the town center. Like when I had moved, the town center had just opened up. It was like maybe like a year or maybe like a year or two, maybe like a year, I want to say. Even.
Yeah, it opened in 2007.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So like,
yeah,
I wasn't even really around. Like I was here for like 1 year of the town center, and then I come back and like the town center is like
huge,
this monstrosity. Like every time I come back, it's like there's more parts to it. You know what I'm saying?
And I mean, there's so much land that they trying to buy and build on.
And all these like, if you had told me that we would even have, I know it's kind of a silly like example, but like even just like saying like Jacksonville has a Nordstrom's, like what? Like if you told me like the person that like went to Regency and the Avenues like as a mall when growing up, like, and you tell me that we have Nordstrom's in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
And
like when you left, Regency was popping. Now
it's
dead. Like there's nothing going on.
Yeah, there's nothing there at all.
Regency was popping still when you left.
Yeah, I think it stopped popping around 2009, maybe.
So it's like
there was a shooting in there that killed everything.
Yeah.
Well, the mall industry, I watch a lot of video. The mall industry period is dead.
Yeah. So I mean, that to me, and then I see like just. Like lurking online and like seeing different events that were happening around town. and seeing. Y'all know Malcolm Jacks, right?
Yeah.
He actually shot the single artwork for New Jack City. We went out shooting the other night.
The mayor.
Yeah. Malcolm has been on this podcast 30 times.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
The listeners know who he is.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, I bring up Malcolm because he's a prime example of things that are going on here that like would never have happened before. Like I went to this thing. This was in October, I think. He curated this thing downtown
with the
Art Republic.
Yeah.
And it was
American,
this huge
beach.
Yeah, that
beach.
shit.
Yeah.
Yo, they had there was a jazz band playing in downtown. They had all these mosaic murals that were up on the old public library, the old main library downtown. And then they had this photographer who had projected. It was like this short film. And projected it on the side of the
2 different ones, yeah.
Yeah, he projected it on the side of the building.
Yeah.
And we would have never had that before.
I know. I mean, I tip my hat to him and Jordy and a couple of the others that work, alongside them. Like, I mean, what they're doing is incredible. Incredible.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's a lot of people here that have, and I say this. I think it's just a matter of being removed for a period. I lived in North Carolina for 5 years. I think I was out of Jax for 6 years, total. And in that time, I come back and I see, like you say, the younger artists, what they're doing is unbelievable.
Yeah, there's some talent.
Unbelievable.
There's a lot of talent.
And they're curating views.
Yeah.
In such a way, you know what I mean? So
I played the show recently. I had a show at Archetype, which another venue that is owned by a friend of mine.
Had it not been for COVID, I would have been there.
Yeah. And you know what? Like I'm kind of cool on the shows right now too, because like it's still a little weird. You know what I'm saying? Like which also again, like I said when we were in the car, the reason I'm even wearing this is because I'm staying with my parents at the time right now. But anyways, Archetype, a venue owned by a friend of mine. You know what I'm saying? And like that's just crazy to me because like you own a venue?
Yeah.
Wow, okay, cool. But I bring up the show because I played the show and this kid that opened up for me, Black J is his name.
I know exactly who you're talking
dope.
about. Yeah, he's crazy.
Dude can spit. Like he's got insane rhymes. And I'm like, yo, like I don't even know how old he is. He's probably like early 20s.
Yeah. Early to mid 20s.
I couldn't rap like that when I was you know what I'm saying? Like
the way things have evolved.
There's this other kid that performed at the at this event that Mount put together too. Jaquan Tyree or whatever.
Another crazy artist, man. He's really, really dope.
I can't rap like that.
Nah, he's
how old is he?
He's
like probably like
20s.
20,
yeah,
like 20.
Maybe 20, 21.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I still like I'm 41. I can't rap like that. You know what I'm saying? Like
crazy with it. He dropped a Doom tribute just recently, and man, insane.
Yeah. So I mean, like there's a lot of talent here. I mean, that's not what I do. Like my skill set is more like I'm not trying to be the most rappingest rapper, most singingest singer, because I'm not the best at either of those things. But I'm like the best at what I do in terms of having like a unique vantage point and there's my goal is more of I want to innovate. That's more my thing. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, in terms of pure technicality, like, bro, I mean, just the two of them are like
insane. Yeah,
out of this world.
And I mean, I love what the artists are doing these days. You know what I mean? From Jacksonville, you know.
There's some dopes R&B singers here too. Like,
oh my god, man.
Yeah.
Crazy R&B singers.
Yeah,
There's a few of them.
Yep.
Even the female rappers are great.
Yep.
Great. So, I mean, You know, it's a lot to see, you know, having experienced a little bit here in Jackson and going away, seeing things from, like you say, a different vantage point, and then coming back. And
because that wasn't like before, it seemed like a handful of people.
Exactly. Exactly. You had, even if you were in a room of 50 rappers, you had a handful that were good rappers or took it serious, or you could actually talk with them enough about music to say, all right, maybe we could do something, maybe we could talk further, set up a show, something of the sort. Networking is possible. Now, man, shit, they got a coalition.
Yeah, there's a lot actually.
There's a coalition. They if I'm not mistaken, Black J is a part of a group called Love Culture, and they what they do
I know
as
Love
a
Culture.
collective.
I know Love Culture. I think they're actually separate though.
Well,
But I know,
got you.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I know Love Culture is like,
but they got
separate
Flash
artists.
They got Flash the Samurai. They got
Cheech.
Yeah.
They got man, my dog. He gonna kill me for this one.
There's a collective though.
Man, it's a great group, man. So, easy, man. Yeah, a great group of rappers, but like I say, seeing it all today, I think it is a lot to appreciate.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I have another question. I think that's it. You got any other questions, Joe?
Nah, man, I think that's it for me. Man, you have answered everything for us.
Thank you. I appreciate y'all having me.
One more question. How it felt when you got like you said Pharrell? Was it Pharrell and Kanye? How did you feel with that? And like, how exactly did you have any secrets to when like to make your songs blow up? Did you just like post them and they just kind of like took off?
I posted them. Like I wish I knew.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask because I think most people when you get asked that question, they're like, "Shit, I just post that shit."
Right.
And it just did what it did.
Or
so.
some people
answer.
try to play it off and are like, "Yeah, I knew this was gonna." Like, no, you didn't know.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? No one really knows.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? No one really knows. You can't predict the future like that. Not in as complex as the world is. It's you can have things like that happen, but you can't map those things out.
Right.
You know, you could plan something to the T, but there's a huge difference. There's a huge gap between like what happens in theory and like in a plan that you write down on a piece of paper and what actually happens in the real world. You know what I'm saying? Like that jump from the piece of paper to the real world it's an immeasurable gap. Like that's huge. So, it was a MySpace bulletin when I posted the Firm and Cap song and the video. I was just like, yo, I did this video. Cause like, how else? I didn't even know how else to put it out. You know what I'm saying? I was like, yeah, I did this video. Check it out. And then from there, I saw it get posted on different blogs. And then the quote unquote importance of blogs, of which blogs were picking it up, like the reputation of which ones were picking it up, that started increasing. You know what I mean? And then it went from like these like personal joints to like now it's on I don't know, there was this one dude, his name was F Luxury B, but I think he had like a pretty decent he had a blog that some people were checking for, but like them and then A Life, they put me on their website.
Word.
And it was like Wu-Tang, it was like Wu-Tang, Bun B, Nas.
Word,
and then you see my name like down here, like Rob Roy, and so people are like, oh shit, well this must be somebody.
Yeah.
If they're putting him with like these names and like he's on the A Life website. So there's like that legitimacy, you know, of that kind of cosign. And then so you start seeing things like that, and it kind of is a snowball effect because now, okay, so these people are like kind of fucking with it, and then next thing you know, it ends up on Kanye University, and then from there, I mean, you know, obviously Kanye is astronomically big now. He was even big back then. You know what I'm saying? You're looking, this 2009, his influence was huge back then, even still.
Right.
So, and people were paying attention to him. So anything that he put up on his website, now all of a sudden it's got all these eyeballs on it. And yeah, I mean, with that, you know, is going to come like your Pharrell calling you on the phone. And I have so many stories from that era, man. It's like,
so you actually talked to Pharrell?
I talked to him on the phone. Yeah.
How was that?
Yeah. He was very intense.
We want to hear those stories also, by the way.
Hey man, this is Pharrell. I want to get that record print, man.
He's like, who the fuck are you? Where the fuck did you come from? You know what I'm saying? And like the Pharrell voice, you know what I'm saying? And he was like, for real? Like, and then I was just like, you know, like this, like really like just humble and like low key, because I'm speaking to like someone that is, I mean, a legend, you know. And my roommates at the time, I lived in like kind of like this real world style house where I had like 4 roommates. Yeah. They were all crowded around me when I was like on the phone. But yeah, like I didn't even really know what to do in that particular situation. But yeah, and I was like, he asked me, you know, what my ethnicity was, and I'm like, well, I said, well, I'm half Filipino, and I didn't even get the rest out. And he was like, oh, we fuck with the Pinoy. Yo, we fuck with the Pinoy. You know what I'm saying? And he was start talking about the Philippines and like Chad. That's funny. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, man. So like that was kind of a wild conversation. Chris Brown, like I met Chris Brown at the A-Life store that was in Hollywood. I didn't even know. You know how like when you see someone out that's famous, a lot of times you don't even expect to see them like out in the real world, because you always just see them on a TV screen or a computer screen or whatever. I didn't even realize that he was who he was until like he came up like this close and like dapped me up and was like, bro, you got the hardest song out. Like, and I'm just like, oh shit, this is Chris Brown. And so yeah, I mean, like all of those situations were really cool, man. Like, you know, especially experiencing a lot of those things for the first time. But I've had a lot of those things happen. Like I had like MySpace. Like I met Erykah Badu. Like the guy that I guess was quote unquote managing her at the time, or was a manager for her at the time. He hit me up on MySpace. Like this is when I put the first record out, dollar out of 15 cents. Yeah. He's like, yo, Erykah wants to meet you. You know, she's like, she's really fucking with these songs. I ended up going to Dallas. This was in 2005, I guess. Yeah, 2005. I went to Dallas and I met Erykah Badu. She owned a movie theater. I don't know if she still does, called the Black Forest Theater in Dallas, and she was having a going away on tour party. She was going on tour with Floetry, Queen Latifah, and Jill Scott. And I met her at this party. But like all these things, like bro, like a lot of these things kind of just like slipped through my fingers because I didn't know what I was doing really. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a lot that I didn't know. Like I still don't, but like I knew even less back then. You know what I mean? Right. But I met like pretty much all the people that I would have wanted to meet, that are almost all the people. Like I met Ali Shaheed Muhammad from A Tribe Called Quest. We hung out. I was in New York. We had pizza at his apartment. You know what I'm saying? And like talking to someone like him, talking to I met Devontae from Jodeci, which was like, that's like seeing a unicorn out in public, because like he's like a recluse basically. But that was like in 2013. I literally kneeled on the floor in front of him, because Jodeci is like my favorite R&B group of all time. I like kneeled on the floor in front of him. I even went like this. Yeah, like so I'm kind of like they were cool. It was cool, you know what I'm saying? It was cool. At the same time, it's like okay.
You go back. What you just wish you would probably make some more music with them or something like. I would have to get in the studio with. If I was with Erica Badu, she flew me out. I would have to get some songs.
Don't even get me started. Don't even get me started. I would have been barking. Roo.
Yeah, you know, I
hashtag Badu Coochie.
I think I was so.
I need that.
I think I was just so young.
Well, we some horn dogs.
Yeah. Well, you know what? So you know what was funny is she was starting. The idea was that she was going to start a label called Control Freak Records, and the only person that was on the label was Jay Electronica at the time. But it wasn't like a label in like the legit like we got distribution through blah 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 sense. You know what I'm saying? It was like kind of just this idea that was like incubating at the time and kind of floating around in her head that she wanted to do this.
Yeah.
And that was the whole reason
that y'all met.
Yeah, because potentially there could have been something there. Yeah, I'd probably just dropped the ball on that. Like I should have got her information like her particularly. I should have got her information, and kept in touch with her because she's like, yeah, keep in touch. I kept in touch with Paul, whose number I had. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of that.
Yeah,
you know, there's a lot of that. I just didn't know like. You know what's appropriate, like what's the appropriate thing to do in that type of situation. What can this artist actually do for me? You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes it's just like when I spoke to Pharrell on the phone, it was like, you're signed to Star Trek. Like don't fuck with anyone else. Like don't talk to. But then if you can't get in touch with Pharrell after that, like it's like what?
Yeah, it's not really.
You know what I'm saying? So it's just like sometimes, like a lot of times in like Hollywood in particular, what I came to understand about the industry was that a lot of people just talk shit. You know, it's like kind of in the moment. Mm-hmm. You know, like especially if you have like something that's hot at the moment, or if you got like the hype, you have the hype of the moment.
Yeah, people.
You know, people get caught up in that. Just like anything in life, you know, like anything new in life, you know, like the attention is focused on that for a specific period. And then once the newness of that thing wears off, then it's like on to the next.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like a lot of people just kind of talk and a lot of people, there's not really a lot they could actually even do for you, you know? But it's cool. It's cool in the sense of like, yeah, I grew up listening to this person, or I have records by this person, you know, that I play a lot or that I've played a lot. And it's cool, you know, like when I was looking for that validation, when I felt like I needed like that validation back then, I guess it was sort of like this reassuring thing, like, oh yeah, you're on the right path, or you're going down the right path, you know. But yeah, like now I realize you don't need anyone to tell you that. It's like when I was younger, I wanted to go to art school because, like I felt like I wasn't a real artist because I went to UNF. I was a painting and drawing major. And I had this thought built up in my mind that I would only be a real artist once I went to a real legit
art school,
an art program at a real art school, you know what I'm saying? And then I could call myself an artist. But I had to live in New York City and go to this certain school and then be in this
full sale.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So like, and then you get this thing built up in your head that like, that is what makes you this thing. And that's not what makes you the thing. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, so yeah.
Yeah, all you need now is YouTube. You don't really need
school.
Stop on YouTube. You learn anything you need to know.
I tell you what, you ain't lying there. I'm gonna get into furniture next.
There you go.
Make furniture with the gun. You gonna make furniture with that gun?
No.
I'm about to say.
No.
The all-purpose gun.
Right, shit. I carry that on my hip.
Yeah. Like, man, you gonna whip up a couch with that,
right.
with that rug gun? That'd be crazy.
Shit, you get caught in a sticky situation. And
You know what I mean? Like,
shit
hey,
turns into the.
I give you stitches, motherfucker.
I have been looking at like building videos. 'Cause I don't know if Joe told you we're trying to get a podcast studio.
Oh yeah,
and we're trying to.
Okay.
I was looking at shit because I kind of want to build my own like podcast set. So
Yeah.
I've been looking at a lot of like wood building videos.
Oh,
and
trust,
shit like
I'm
that.
on it. Like, I went to a wood shop class. Come on, man, we can do anything, dog.
I ain't handy, man. I'm not
Like,
handy.
look.
It's gonna be a nail through my hand,
Oh,
literally.
shit.
Nah, I'm
Probably.
good, man. I'm good. Shit, I done built all these goddamn frames at the house for these rugs. So I know my neighbors hate me. I just be nailing shit. One day I walked
Here.
outside. Oh, nah, I'm hammering.
Oh, like.
Oh, you ain't got
gotcha.
the gun.
all right.
Hammering. Whack!
Yeah.
Whack! One night, it was like 10 p.m. I went downstairs. It was the assistant manager apartment. I'm right outside her door, like on the outside, just whacking that shit together. A man came outside. He was huffing and puffing. I turned around. He was like, "Oh man, I was just trying to see what's going on out here. I
Yeah.
thought some kids were playing." Say, "Nah, man, give me a minute. I'll be done."
Wow.
And I hate myself for it. Like I know they mad as fuck, but
Be all right, fuck 'em.
yeah, you know what I'm saying. Hey, it's all about the dollar. You know what I mean. We trying to get this money right
Trying
now.
to get
So
that money, man.
trying to do the shmoney dance this year.
Hell yeah. There you go.
All right, so Rob, we're gonna go ahead and wrap this up. It's
Yeah.
around an hour and 30 minutes. That's usually what we do, about hour 30, 2 hours.
Okay, yeah.
So
They
we're gonna
gotta
wrap
pay
it up.
for more. Patreon.com/RAOP
There you go,
podcast.
All right, so at some point we're gonna have to get you back on, man. Get some more stories and
Oh yeah, I got
Indeed,
plenty
indeed.
of those for
Hey,
sure.
story time with Mr. Jefferson.
Like that's
something.
that's like just a fraction.
Yeah,
All right,
I
so
can believe it.
anything you working on? Anything you want to plug before we get up out of here?
Yeah, I guess just listen to the last single I put out, which is Based.
Yeah,
That's on my Spotify.
everywhere, man.
Yeah, all my
Apple
socials,
Music,
all my
yeah.
socials are at Rob Roy FM.
Okay.
And yeah, and be on the lookout for this new joint. I'm just waiting on my producer to send me the new modified version of it. But yeah, it's called New Jack City, and the single artwork, the photograph was taken by Malk Jacks.
Yeah, friend of the show, Mount Jacks.
mayor.
Shout out to him.
Real quick before we do go, I do want to ask, is that gonna be the thing? Like are you kind of at the point now to where it's like I'll release singles more so than projects, or I'm doing things as inspired?
Kind of as it comes, I think.
Yeah, I hear that. And I know that's a tough question. Like I even hate getting asked shit
Yeah,
like
no,
that.
but that's a good question though. Yeah, the more I kind of, I guess maybe if it feels right to do like a project, like I released 2 songs. This was like maybe 2 years ago, I think.
Yeah.
I released 2 songs. It was like Trees and Freak at the same time.
Right.
And then that felt right. Like for some reason, those 2 songs felt like they needed to be put out at the same time together.
I like how Apple Music has that like released on like they're attached as a single.
Yeah, as a single, like together.
The 2 songs. Yeah.
So so certain things like that to me, like if it makes sense or if it feels right to me, like then I will do that. Like if these things, if I have a couple joints and they all seem like they go together, then yeah, like they should all come out at the same time. But yeah, as of right now, especially the way I'm working, because I came back here, I kind of shifted my whole mentality on a lot of things. But first and foremost, I'm trying to stack because I want to self-fund.
Yeah, that's a baggy.
I want to self-fund everything that I'm gonna do moving forward. You know what I mean? It's just a lot more. You have a lot more free. You have freedom and independence. And you're free to move in the ways that you want to move, not dictated by feeling like someone else is like kind of watching over your decisions and whatnot. So I have plans, but yeah, everything is just kind of like by ear right now. Like definitely single on the way, but I also want to do like a video for that single, but I'm also in my mind thinking like, well, I just put out Based, and there is sort of a similar energy between these two. So maybe like it's like a double video, or maybe it's just like two videos kind of shot in the same style. But that's coming down the pipeline. So maybe some like a video or two for these two latest songs. And then merch. I want to finally get some t-shirts made up finally, and playing more shows. I want to get to doing some more shows. Well, you know, it's tricky
when
because
things open up. Yeah.
but getting more shows underway. I really just want to like do everything that I haven't been able to do. You know, it's hard to do things when you don't have, you know, like you're kind of just scraping by, like you. So I want to have like the you know, get all the pieces in place, and then just start like doing these things and just do everything the way I would have liked to have done, you know, from the get. And eventually touring would be nice too, like whenever, you know, that's a thing that can happen. But I want to break it down. Everything I want to do is break it down to the most simplest form. Take it down to the smallest, simplest form that I possibly can. Bring it back to local, you know, bring it back to like things that are within my grasp.
Right.
Start here. Eventually, if I'm going to tour, then do like in the Southeast, you know, so like Northeast Florida, Southern Georgia. Eventually make my way down Florida, and then maybe eventually start going up the East Coast, Atlanta, etc., North Carolina, etc. You know what I mean? Like maybe eventually make my way further up, but really focus my efforts here locally first and foremost. Make Jacksonville my home base, literally in every sense of the word. This is the home base. This is where all my operations I want to be coming from here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And even like when I reached out to Malcolm, I was like, yeah, like I want to do more things that are like locally sourced. You know what I'm saying? Like that's important to me. I want to reflect the environment that I'm from and like the people that are here that are doing things, and I want to put that into what I'm doing and put that out there. So if I can, if it's at all possible, I want to keep it as Jacksonville based as possible. Like there'll be exceptions, obviously, because there's other people that
you fuck
you know,
with other people that you
obviously.
look at and say, yo, this is creative as fuck.
So like there might be directors that maybe they're not from here and like that sort of thing. But if possible, if there's a chance for me to, if it makes sense in my mind, I would like to be able to just like, okay, let's keep this Jacksonville at first, build it from here, and then eventually, like once it has some roots, like real roots, and like there's kind of a thing going again. Now we take the show on the road a little bit more. Yeah. So
I can dig it.
I totally respect that.
Yeah.
So we're going to plug our shit, man. Random Acts of Podcast. Another successful episode. First episode 2021.
Yes, indeed. Thank you again for coming on.
Appreciate you one more time.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, so go on Apple Podcasts. We're on there, Random Acts of Podcast, Spotify, all that shit. And the most important thing, sign up to our Patreon, patreon.com/RAO Podcast. Get the episodes early. We live streaming right now. Our chat, they talking shit, but it's all good. Shout out to them.
Get in on the bonus episodes.
Yeah, get a bonus episode. We about to start recording those next week. Yes, the ones for 2021. Me and Joe, we got our own podcast that we do by ourselves called Deeper Than Rap, where we go over rap albums. We just did. Which one we just did? Get Rich or Die Trying. Yeah, 50 Cent, Get Rich or Die Trying. So check that out. Got a bunch of good shit on there, man. So shout out to everybody on our Patreon. But if you want to join the Patreon, oh damn, the camera just went off. So I guess it's perfect. Well, we still got this one. So we out.
There you go.
With that said,
with all that said, we out.